It's 19 minutes to 6. You're listening to Drive Time on BBC Radio Scotland. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably relying on the posties and the couriers more than usual at the moment. Our engineer Cole was talking in the office about the time one of his parcels was delivered under a staircase on the other side of his building. Producer Paul had one put in his food bin. So what are your rights if your parcel doesn't arrive safely and intact on the doorstep? Let's find out with you. Let's cross to Edinburgh, bring in consumer rights expert Scott Dixon. Scott, we've all been there. Lots of people listening to this will be nodding their head. What are some of the main issues that people face when dealing with parcel deliveries?
Well, the problem that people have is, as you said earlier, parcels being left in bins, on doorsteps, in porches, and just simply not being safely delivered into people's possessions. And it's a common misconception that you need to contact the courier to find out where your parcel is, because your contract is always with the retailer, not the courier, because they have engaged the courier to safely deliver the parcel to you. So this falls under Section 29 of the Consumer Rights Act 2015, which states that the goods remain at the trader's risk until they come into the physical possession of the consumer or a person identified by the consumer to take possession of the goods. So if they've been left in a waste bin or thrown over a hedge or anything else, and it goes missing, it's up to the retailer to resolve it. And they can either resend you another parcel or give you a refund, but it's the retailer you need to speak to and make your problem theirs.
That is very interesting, Scott. I think there's been quite a lot of people who don't know that and would have gone to the courier. So if your parcel does go missing or it's damaged in the process, what's the best advice for people? What are their rights?
So if your parcel's damaged, evidence is key. So what you need to do is take photos as soon as possible of the parcel and the contents, and speak to the courier, not the courier, the retailer, because the retailer needs to engage the courier to safely deliver the parcel to you intact. So it's up to them. And if you're reaching an impasse with the retailer on this, just say, I'll raise a chargeback with my bank to dispute and reverse the transaction. And it's very difficult for retailers to deal with chargebacks. So it's an ace card that you could play if all else fails. And you've got up to 120 days to raise a chargeback to reverse the transaction. And what you need to say to your bank in that scenario is breach of contract under the Consumer Rights Act 2015, because the retailer has not delivered the parcel intact under the Consumer Rights Act 2015, and they've breached the terms and conditions of the contract you've entered into.
That's very interesting. I'm just taking notes myself, actually. Just very briefly, if you wouldn't mind. I know there's a lot of texts and emails claiming to be from couriers. I had a couple this week already. There is a lot of fraud out there, isn't there?
There is. So be very careful and don't respond to links on texts. And if you are looking for confirmation of a parcel delivery, don't just be very careful, because there's a lot of scam texts doing the rounds. And don't click on links and look for spelling mistakes. And a legitimate website link will begin with HTTPS and 2 forward slashes. So that's something to be aware of.
Just be aware. And that's useful advice, Scott. I think a lot of people are having them now. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much. That was consumer rights expert Scott Dixon.